Hey, how's it going, everyone? So, I know I haven't been putting out an awful lot of videos lately. Basically, it's with the moving from one place to another, and I've made the trip. It's a 4-hour trip from here to where we used to live in the camper, in the RV. It's a 4-hour one-way trip. I've made that trip 8 times now, so that's 16 4-hour trips. So I've done a round trip 8 different times now since we've moved, which was we closed on the house on the 21st of July, I think it was. Anyway, had to clean out storage units, clean up the RV, pack, move the RV because we had to have it transported, and move all my stuff here, stuff out of, like I said, storage units. I've had to rent U-Hauls, stuff like that. We haven't been super busy in the shop. I have one job in particular that I'm working on now that I'm making a video on. It's on air suspension on a Dodge Ram pickup truck that had an issue, and I'm making a video on that. We're just waiting for nitrogen so I can fill the system. But yeah, so things are happening, and hopefully soon I can get back to daily videos like I was doing, or close to daily videos. Just like I said, right now it's been an issue. Anyway, so I'm sitting here in my truck. I'm having lunch. Decided to have Subway today. Haven't had Subway in like forever. So, my truck being a stick shift, it's an 06 Silverado 4.3 4-wheel drive 5-speed. It got me thinking about other vehicles I've dealt with manual transmissions and issues I've had with them. So I figured this would make a good story. I haven't done a story in a while. This truck, my wife hates driving it. My daughter hates driving it. My son hates driving it. It's kind of difficult to drive. I'm used to it. You have to have the clutch pedal to the floor when you're shifting it. And I know what the problem is. Basically, you've got to try to kick the left front headlight out of the car when you're shifting this thing. What's happening is the actual fingers on the pressure plate are weak on the side where the throwout bearing is. So it depresses, and those fingers are supposed to do this to release the clutch, and they're flexing. They're doing this instead of like this. So what's happening is it's having a hard time releasing the clutch. Eventually, I'm going to have to do something about it. Right now, the clutch is fine. It doesn't slip. I can lay rubber with this thing if I wanted to. It's just difficult to shift because of that. So, this is actually a known problem. I had another truck not too long ago, a Silverado 2-wheel drive V6 5-speed, and I wound up having to put a pressure. What I did was I put a whole clutch kit in it, and I put a master and a slave cylinder in it. I did the master and slave cylinder first, even though I said that's not going to fix it. I did that first. Guess what? Didn't fix it. So we had to put a pressure plate and disc in it. So, but it got me thinking about, like I said, other vehicles. When I had my shop way back when, I had a woman come in, and an older woman, and she said, "Hey, you guys do clutches?" Yeah. She had a Ford Festiva, if you remember those. She said, "I bought it used, and it needs a clutch." Okay. She gets it to me. It had 13,000 miles on it. Okay. Clutch was wiped out. Wiped out. Simple clutch to do. Actually, they were very simple to do. I did the clutch in it, took her for a ride, everything was fine. Okay. She picks up the car. I wasn't there when she picked it up, and I remember this for a fact because I would have said something at the time. Comes back to me about 4,000 miles later, needs clutch. Smoked. Clutch is done. I was able to warranty the parts. She covered my labor again, because clutches are not covered under warranty unless it's a failure. I said to her, "Let me see how you drive this car." I said, "I want you to drive up the street and then come back." Okay, so she did. and she was riding the daylights out of the clutch. She was like, you know, going to take off. It's like, oh man, okay, there's the problem. So I tried explaining this to her, and then she got mad with me. She's like, I've been driving a stick shift my whole life. Okay, well, apparently not very good. And I said, you need to release the clutch faster. I said, you're riding the clutch, and that's smoking the clutch. I said, you're dealing with a car that has 100 horsepower. I said, I don't know what you dealt with before. I don't know what kind of vehicles you dealt with before. I don't know what, you know, if you had a vehicle with like a low range gear. I don't know what you were dealing with before. But that's your problem, is trying to launch the car, and you're smoking the clutch in the process. Okay. She after a while, she accepted what I said. She goes to take off, and all you hear is the engine rev up, and all of a sudden, brrr, she lays rubber out of the parking lot. She gets out into the street, and she actually has to stop in front of the shop because there's a traffic light on the corner there. She stopped there. We all go out, and we're watching. Sure enough, same thing. You hear the engine go, rah, and then you see, the thing lays rubber off the line. She never came back. Don't know what happened. Another one was, we had a Kia Soul at the dealership when I was there. And the Kia Soul was a 5-speed. I remember the car clearly because I'm the one who did the used car inspection on it. I'm the one who checked it out. And the car was fine. There was nothing wrong with it. I had driven it the whole bit. I did whatever services it needed to have done. They parked it and it went onto the front line. It was a nice car for sale. All of a sudden, I get the service manager coming to me, and he says, hey, he goes, that Kia Soul, you did the used car check on it, right? Yeah. He says, there's something wrong with the clutch. Really? Yeah, some guy, he bought it, and he couldn't even leave the parking lot. Really? I said, I drove the thing, whatever it was, 6, 8, 10 miles, whatever. I had no issue with it. I might have even taken it home at the time. I just don't recall. So, I go to get in it, and I smell clutch big time. So then the salesman comes up to me. He says, yeah, he goes, I don't think this guy knows how to drive a stick. He says, he came in, didn't even want to test drive it, bought the car, went out to it. He goes, all we heard was engine revving noises and smoke. There was smoke everywhere. He goes, the thing never left the parking space. Okay. I go and I take it apart. The flywheel was purple. Purple. It got so hot. Destroyed the clutch. So we got a new flywheel and a new clutch setup right from Kia. Put it in. They told me, take the car for the weekend. We want you to drive it for the weekend. Make sure there's nothing wrong with this car. Okay, I did that. I took it for the weekend. I believe I even went to Lebanon Valley Raceway, which is an hour and a half away, with the car. And I had zero issues. Okay. The guy's father came to pick the car up. He drove it home. No issue. The guy couldn't make it out of his driveway. He annihilated the clutch again. Again. He gets it towed in. Now, we had warrantied the clutch for him because he never left the parking lot. We had warrantied the clutch for him. So, we get it towed back in. Same thing. Flywheel's purple. So they call the guy and they're talking to him. And it turns out he had never driven a stick shift. He thought if you put it into 5th gear, you could drive it like that. Like it would automatically shift itself up to 5th gear. Where do these people come up with these things? So they took him out of that car. I did the clutch again. They told him he had to pay for it. He paid for it. He paid for me to do a clutch. And they took the car away from him. Or they made him trade it in to buy an automatic car. He wanted the stick shift because it was more economical. Okay. I did the clutch again. The sales manager, he drove it for however many days. He said there's absolutely nothing wrong with this car. You know, obviously it was all on that guy smoking the clutch. Well, yeah, you leave it in 5th gear and expect to go. Yeah, it's going to be a problem. At the dealership, we had to rotate or move stock constantly. Cars had to go from one spot to another. You know, you don't want to leave them sitting in the same spot. It's not good for the car. They had hired this young lady, like from Romania or something. She had just come to the country, and they had hired her, and she was to go out there, and she was to take photos of the cars for like the internet and stuff like that. And also her job was to move the cars, make sure cars started, stuff like that. So one day I'm out there and I hear an engine revving, and I don't pay attention to what it is exactly. Then I smell some clutch. I'm like, well, that's not good. And I hear engine revving again, and it was a V8 sound, and I realized, hey, guess what? There's a Challenger V8 up there, stick shift, and I see somebody trying to move it. Then I see the young lady get out of the car. I went to the service manager and I told him what was going on. I said, you know, unless somebody teaches her how to drive a standard shift, she shouldn't be touching anything that has a stick shift. Okay. We had another lot down the road where we stored cars. It had a hill going to it. Somebody taught her how to drive a stick. Obviously, she wasn't very good at it, enough to like move it around the parking lot, and even then, it wasn't very good. She had a Dodge Dart that was a 6-speed. She wound up stalling it out on the hill somehow or another. She went to go try to take off with this thing and was having a heck of a time trying to get it going. She smoked the clutch so bad, the car caught on fire. It actually caught on fire. The car burned to the ground. The fire department, when after they put it out, because they were trying to figure out how did this brand new car catch on fire, Chrysler wanted to know too. They were looking, and they came to the realization it came from the flywheel area. It came from the clutch area. She had smoked it so bad, got it so red hot, that it burst into flames and created a fire. It must have blown out the throwout bearing, the hydraulic throwout bearing, and then the fluid caught on fire and then set the whole car up. I mean, just absolutely incredible, but it happens. It happens. And then on the complete opposite spectrum of that, I used to know this lady. At the time, she was about 70 years old. She drove a F-250 extended cab, 8-foot bed, 7.3 diesel stick shift, and she towed a horse trailer. She was the original owner of the truck. It had 300 and something thousand miles on it. She came to me and said, Kenny, I think the clutch finally went. Okay. She goes, it's chattering like crazy. I go and I take the thing apart. It was only a 2-wheel drive. I go take it apart. The clutch itself was actually still in good shape. Excuse me. What happened was they have a dual mass flywheel. The flywheel itself has a damper built into it. The damper actually broke from basically use, but it had over 300,000 miles on it, and the clutch was still good. And the lady's 70 years old, towing a horse trailer. I don't know. Just kind of funny. But anyway, yeah, just driving my truck made me think about that. So I thought I'd share that with you, give you a little story there. So hopefully I'm gonna get back to some videos this week. Like I said, I got that Dodge Ram. I also have that Colorado that's at my house that the guy's borrowing my van. I haven't gotten to it just because of everything I have going on, but this weekend I plan on doing that. So hopefully I'll get that done. I'll have a video on that, because rotors on those things are not fun. Those of you who know Colorados, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Those first-gen Colorados. So anyway, that's it. Hopefully you're getting something out of my videos. If you are, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. All right, guys, have a great day. Keep wrenching.